Hey, Carl, anything happened this week?
Well, the dog died.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's horrible.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Sorry to hear that. Yeah.
How'd the dog die?
Oh, he ate some bad horse meat.
What?
You see, the horse died, and the dog ate the meat and died.
Why? Why'd the horse die?
Oh, because he died in the barn fire. See, the barn burned down, and the horse died, and then the dog ate the bad meat and died.
How exactly did the barn catch on fire, Carl?
Oh, see, well, it caught from the house. See, the house caught fire, and a tree fell over on the barn and went whoosh, burned the barn, killed the horse, and the dog ate the meat. And
Okay, so
died.
I dare not ask, but how exactly did the house catch on fire?
Well, see, my mother had a heart attack and died, and then she fell over and knocked a candle on the curtain, went whoosh, burned the house and the barn, killed the horse, and the dog ate the meat. Died. All right, play the music.
I don't think that's funny.
That's hilarious.
All right, guys, this should be a short and sweet one. We got 5 stories. How are y'all doing?
Good.
I'm fantastic.
Dwayne, you seem like you're in a different room. Where are you?
Undisclosed location.
I am in the great state of Texas.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, no, not undisclosed. San Antone, boys. I actually went to the Alamo last night.
Wow. Did you defend it this time?
You know what's weird about the Alamo? I was told 2 things. There's a local friend of mine, this guy Adam, who brought us the Alamo last night. And he said 2 things about the Alamo. One, it's going to be a lot smaller than you see in the movies. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, if you've ever seen the Alamo, it's actually pretty small.
Right.
He said, number 2, if you pee on it, you'll get banned from the state of Texas for 50 years because that's what Ozzy Osbourne did and got banned from the state of Texas for 50 years. So there you go. You can attack people and kill them in the Alamo.
Well,
but if you pee on it, that's it.
Well,
they don't allow that.
There was also a rumor going around that they moved the Alamo from its original place to the center of the city, but I think that's BS.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true.
It's BS. They built the city of San Antonio around the Alamo.
Yeah,
right?
I think that
sounds more appropriate. And there's this nice river that goes through. So
yeah. All right. So where are we going to start today? Apple?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. What happened?
So Apple has fixed 2 0 days that were pretty amazing from Dwayne's perspective. Basically, I could send you a malware image, a malware-laden image, using PassKit, which is the wallet that's built into the iPhone.
Right.
And you, without clicking anything, without doing anything, it would allow for compromise of the system to the point where you could install something like the Pegasus Group's commercial spy software. And so this is a big deal.
I thought we already had one of these long time ago.
They come.
And we've had tons of these.
We've had a bunch of them.
Yeah, zero-click iPhone things seem very familiar to me.
They're not as common as you think, but they're such big news that you're not going to miss one.
Yeah.
So every single one of them is big news.
Oh yeah, and I love how it says that the exploit hijacked control of Apple's blast door. Like you have this mental image of a blast door as something that you would never want. Yeah, exactly. They're coming. Close the blast doors.
The Ewoks are getting in.
Sorry.
And actually, the exploit is called Blast Pass.
Well, there you go. Oh wow.
Oh boy, sucks to be LastPass. they're picking on you. LastPass is like, I know what that means. You can't.
This is a terrible exploit. Oh.
All right. So, is that why the iPhone had a security patch just a couple days ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was early it was about a week, 5 days ago.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And, I love the fact that Apple now has the 2 streams for updates. Right. There's the general, I get a new feature, whoop-de-doo, who cares, update. And then there's the, oh, by the way.
Oh, my God, the sky is falling.
The NSO. Right, exactly. Like anybody can control your iPhone if you don't update this thing, updates, which is actually pretty fantastic.
Here's the thing. I don't know this for sure, but there's indications from what I've read that if you're running lockdown mode in your iPhone, you're okay, even with this. Mm-hmm. I run lockdown mode. I haven't had
Do
any
you?
big problems. Yes, because
Wow.
I'm a paranoid person who works with you, and doesn't trust you at all.
What Patrick doesn't
Fair
know
enough.
is that I just took control of his iPhone.
That was my honeypot iPhone. Thank you very much.
Ooh.
Oh,
No, I run lockdown mode because I'm not really that exotic with my phone.
yeah.
Things like Signal work fine. The things that don't work perfectly that give you a warning, like when you open up the news feed, it says some features are not. I've never run into a feature that I cared about.
Yeah.
There's, the phone works fine. FaceTime works fine. Some of the things it does is it prevents you from being FaceTimed by someone you haven't FaceTime with. So you have to be the initiator,
Okay.
which I like. I'm a fairly aggressive guy.
Yeah, I like that.
So it has a lot of that kind of feature. I like it. I haven't had a problem, and I don't do a ton of web browsing on my phone. I think it's that's probably where the biggest diminishing. And you can also whitelist things. So if something's not working, websites or apps can be whitelisted in lockdown mode. I would recommend not doing it if you can
So
help
let
it.
me ask you a question, both of you guys.
Yeah.
Dwayne, you're an iPhone guy too, right?
I am. Yeah.
Well, you probably have both, but
I like
have
security.
Have either of you guys ever gotten malware on your iPhone? Ever?
No.
Me either.
Yeah.
Ask me about Android. Yes.
How about
yes,
Android?
I have.
Yes.
Opposite
Many.
question. Have you ever not had
Yeah.
malware on Android?
Well, my
On your Android.
Android's off
So,
right now, but
I wasn't a big fan of Apple, but they kept winning so well in the security side, and they kept paying so much more attention.
Mhm.
And then the fact that they control the whole cycle, it just made sense. But I'm always looking for ways to be more secure, and lockdown mode's a really good one. So I'd recommend everyone try it. You can just turn it off if it doesn't work.
right. Or if it's too inconvenient.
It does require a restart of the phone, but what?
I love how Patrick says try it. When you read the warnings on this is literally the warnings say, listen, if you're a reporter in a location where you may be killed for reporting on data, or if you're an abused spouse and you're looking to hide, then turn on this mode. Patrick's like, yeah, all right, I like it. I'm in.
I'm in. Yeah, I love security, man.
Wow.
But it honestly, it's about least privilege. I don't use my phone
Yeah.
like a millennial. No offense, Gen Z and millennials,
Wow.
but
My
Wow.
children,
use it. I don't
my
live in
children
my
are gonna
phone.
be angry at you.
That's all right.
I
I've
know.
got
We've
children.
just lost
I've got-
a listener. Not cool.
My children are millennials, and my grandchildren are zennials. So
What's that
not
one? I
too-
never heard of that. generation.
Gen Z.
Zennials. It sounds like a plant.
Gen Z.
Oh, Gen
It's
Z.
kind of
Yeah.
It's just a.
All right.
So,
now that we're at the end of the alphabet, where are we going to go? Are we back to Gen A?
we'll start using like Roman letters or Greek
Oh.
letters. Alpha.
Ooh.
Because X,
Cartoons.
we're Gen X, right? And when
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was
we're all
X,
Gen X.
It was because it was sort of, who is this generation? It wasn't the letter X.
Some say
Yes.
I'm a boomer, and some say I'm the first of X. 65.
Yeah,
Got
you're
Right on the
well.
edge.
There was one before, in between boomers and Gen X, right?
No.
No, then you're a boomer.
Yeah.
Thanks.
What was that? Wait a minute. I thought you were supposed to be in lockdown mode.
Yeah, but people who know
Yeah.
me can call me.
Oh, okay.
Tell
Wow,
your
all
people
sorts
in
of
the
beeping
South
going
Island.
on over
The
here.
CIA always
Jesus.
gets through. No.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So if you've updated your iPhone lately, if you haven't, go do it now because that's a nasty one. All right. Windows 11.
This one makes me sad, honestly.
Yeah.
And sad for me. Listen, happy for the
It's
rest
good
of you.
news for
whatever,
everyone else.
But
yeah. Good news for
it's
everyone.
good news for
else.
everybody else. But really, I shed a tear. I pour one out for my friends here. So Microsoft Windows 11 has added the security feature that allows admins, or really you on your own laptop if you want to, or computer, to block NTLM, so New Technology Land Manager authentication over SMB
Which is admittedly ancient.
to prevent. Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
To prevent pass the hash. So we've talked about pass the hash before. When you log into your computer with your username and password, your computer doesn't know your password. It hashes, originally when you type in your password, it hashes it down into a format that is, well, it's a hash. It's undecryptable.
It's encrypted one way.
Exactly. Right. It's a one-way trapdoor function. So you have this hash. Well, the thing about that hash is if computers try to talk to another computer using your authentication, well, they don't know your password. So they just go, oh, well, we'll just use the hash. We know what the hash is. So because computers can talk to other computers using your hash to identify you,
That's not
like
good.
if I go to reach out to a network share, it will pass my hash along, not my password. So that's not good. That means if I, as a hacker, can get that hash, I can use it, and that's what pass the hash attacks are.
Yeah.
And about 10 years ago, Microsoft said, you can't do this anymore. Huzzah, we fixed it all. And it's still widely used all the time. It hasn't been fixed ever.
I thought they said it's not broken.
No, at first they tried that. No, that was like 12 years ago. They go, no, this isn't broken. This is a feature. This is how it works. And then people said, okay, well, the feature stinks. And they said, oh, but we fixed it. You can't do it anymore. And that was all complete BS.
So what on earth can we do about this Windows 11 feature? Or is it a fix?
Yeah, so this is a fix. So listen, passing the hash has been one of those things where, we as a red team, this is our go-to. The first thing we do when we break into an organization is we force them to pass hashes to us, right? So we can then use them to laterally move around an organization. And this fix is supposed to stop that from happening.
Right, okay.
So I say it's sad because, it takes a tool out of my toolbox as a red teamer, but honestly, from the blue team front side, from the protection side, this is a fantastic option.
It's good.
And should probably be used in every organization. Now I say that it's not going to be, but whatever.
Well, this is client though, right? It's a new Windows 11 feature. So
yeah, and what's funny about this is client side, it's Windows 11, etc. So SMB communicates over port 445. So normal home users, your router, whether it's Comcast or Cox or whatever, it does not route 445. So it doesn't matter. This is never going to be an issue at your house.
Okay.
It's only going to be at the office. But every single corporate firewall we've tested has this open. I don't know why. So, you could stop this without touching Windows at all, just going to your corporate firewall and turning off port 445 forwarding out. But you can do it at the client side now too, which, yay, whatever, protection.
All right, let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back with more on Security This Week. And you're listening to Security This Week. I'm Carl Franklin. That's Patrick Hines and Dwayne LaFlotte. And he's very sad because Windows is getting more secure.
Because they're making things more secure, and it's...
Get a new trick, Dwayne. Learn a new trick.
It's like every 6 months I have to invent some new tactic. My team spends time in the dark lab in the center of the earth.
Because no one's vulnerable to SQL injection anymore, right?
Oh my God. No, that's our tried and true one. Don't you stop that.
I know. Back 15, 20 years ago when we thought they were going to fix SQL injection, and now it's 20 years later and we still see it. So you'll still see these on a weekly basis.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right. So the next one is a Google story, Chrome security update. This is from cybersecuritynews.com. Patches wildly exploited 0-day flaw. So this is a 0-day, obviously, a heap buffer overflow in WebP. First of all, what the hell is WebP? Is this one of those new graphics formats?
I believe it is. So WebP is just one of the components inside of Chrome. Mm-hmm. Heap. We've talked about heap, I believe, in the past.
Yeah, long time ago.
Okay.
It's the global area of memory in any application where you can store things that all of the methods and little subroutines can access.
Right. So the heap it's an interesting place to exploit. Because it does give you the ability. It's a little bit harder than exploiting the stack, but what the heap gives you the ability to do is manipulate the way memory is stored, so that you can call functions or corrupt data in a way that gives you remote code execution.
Okay.
This particular one, you're absolutely right, Carl. WebP is a sort of an image graphics format, so the processor for that is susceptible to a heap buffer overflow. The interesting part about this distills down to hey, people go patch. If you have that Chrome in the upper left-hand corner and it says you haven't updated, then update, or upper right-hand corner. But the real interesting part of this story is the fact that Google has also seen this exploited in the wild. So for it to be public enough that Google has seen it exploited in the wild, This is probably kind of all over the place. You want to patch that quickly. So make sure your Chrome is always up to date.
And the way you can do that is look in the upper right-hand corner, and if there's a little update now thing, you can click that. All you really got to do is close Chrome and reopen it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So do you guys shut your computers down every night?
Not every night, but every couple days, yeah.
I shut down pretty much everything every night. Hard boot.
My laptops I do, but my working machine, no.
I know people who have like 15,000 tabs open.
Yeah.
And when we say things like that, like, you just have to shut down. Some people never shut down. It's like months and months and months. And that's a bad idea.
Well, here's a tip for you. You get all your tabs open, right? Everything that you want to use all the time. And then you go to settings, and then you go to startup. And you can pick the tabs that you want to open on startup, and you can select use current, and whatever 100 tabs you have open, every time you open Chrome, it's going to open all those tabs.
It sounds like my version of hell.
Yeah.
Right. I know.
So that's a way that you can, if you're worried about losing your spot on the internet, for example, you can do that. Then close it, then restart. Everybody's happy. All right. So what's next?
It's MGM.
MGM, cybersecurity issue, shuts down slot machines and ATMs in Las Vegas casinos. I was just there not too long ago. So.
Oh, were you?
Yeah. I think we found the problem.
I tell you what, when I first started going to Las Vegas to do conferences, this is probably back in the early aughts. Every time I would go use an ATM on the casino floor for something, like I would come back and my card was compromised. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if somebody's looking over my shoulder, I didn't see anybody. Or
skimmers.
Yeah, or you pay for a tab at a bar or whatever, and the bartender has a buddy who's paying you to collect credit cards or something. I don't know. I have no idea, but that happened a lot. It doesn't happen so much
that
anymore.
Doesn't surprise me. Although in the casinos, it would surprise me. But
yeah.
Back a number of years ago, I think it was 10 years ago, Dwayne had an account that gave him extra credit card numbers to use.
That was awesome.
For online usage.
Yeah.
So single-use credit card numbers for online purchases.
Were they legit or what?
Yeah, no, this wasn't dark web stuff.
No. This is like you would log in. I think it was MBNA before Bank of America bought them and destroyed them. But
so it came from a bank.
You would, you would download the app, you would log in, and when you went to buy something, you would click create a new credit card.
Wow.
And it would actually show you a credit card, and it would spin the numbers on the screen. It would create a brand new credit card for you, and you would set the limit. So you could say, oh, well, I'm buying something for $210. I'm going to set the limit for $212 or whatever, just in case, right?
I like that.
And then you would use that credit card, and if it did get compromised and somebody tried to charge more, they couldn't because it was quote unquote at its limit, and it was never used anywhere else. Yeah, that was awesome.
Cards like that. Why don't we have all of them like that? That's wonderful.
Yeah, and then as soon as Bank of America bought them out, they killed the app. You couldn't do it anymore.
What a great idea.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's coming up on about 15 years ago. That was before its time, honestly. I was impressed.
I wonder what the problem was.
I don't know.
It's the same as the car that runs on water.
No, come on. Oh, man.
Probably. So this one's weird. So, MGM's being relatively tight-lipped about what's going on here. There has been a ransomware group that's claimed responsibility for this. But, MGM obviously isn't going to say anything until the forensics is done. But, some of their slot machines, if you walked by, you would see it just says, hey, contact administrator slot machine down. Right? Because all of these are computerized now. They're not mechanical slot machines anymore.
Right.
MGM did claim that most of the rest of their services are up and running. What was their statement? Our resorts, including dining, entertainment, gaming, and are currently operational and continue to deliver that experience at which you deserve at MGM, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, some of their slot machines are compromised. So that's interesting because you always wonder, especially with slot machines, they're computerized, right? So that means they're networked some way. They could be networked over cellular, maybe, but probably not. That's expensive. So they're probably networked over like 2.4 gigahertz wireless, some encrypted wireless channel. Or better, they're probably wired like a,
So I'm reading this
Cat
article.
5, Cat 6 cable.
So I'm reading this article. The issue isn't limited to MGM's Las Vegas locations. NBC 10 News in Philadelphia reports that MGM's Borgata Hotel in Atlantic City was likewise affected by the attack, though hotel representatives didn't say how. MGM Grand Detroit Casino is also affected, reports Play Michigan, with an ex-user posting that the casino has all games running, but digital keys and MGM's rewards programs are down. We have an MGM casino here at Foxwoods, right up the street from me.
Yeah,
so I wonder
you're
if
close to that.
Wonder if they're affected too.
I would bet. I would bet they
Yeah,
are.
and it's interesting because it actually reveals some of the underpinnings of the way that the slot machines work, right?
Yeah.
So they all must be on A, the same network, or B, communicating in the same back end. And my guess is that back end is coming up with statistics on how often do the slot machines pay out and how often do we see users show up and blah, 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 right? So you compromise that back end and you take out all their slot machines. Yeah, that's interesting.
Or more
and
scary
may
for them,
lead to
you
other
compromise them in
compromises.
a way that you can manipulate it.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, DDoS would not have been the way that I would have gone with this. A denial of service or something.
You famously robbed a casino once.
I did. I actually did get perp walked through a casino handcuffed.
What?
Yeah, that's a story for another day. But
no.
I did.
that's
You
a story
can't
for
drop
now.
a bomb on us like
It was
that.
part
Walk
of-
away?
It was part of the code room with Microsoft. He was part of the hacker team
Yeah, I was hired by Microsoft.
tasked to go after the casino. Keith Brown was on the blue team, and they
Yeah, so Joel,
good guys had to win.
Caleb, and I were on the dark team to break in and hack a casino. And
Did
Keith
the
Brown had to
casino
find
know
us.
what you were doing?
They did. Yeah,
Okay.
I want to say I think it was the Golden Nugget. It was like the
wow.
off-strip casino.
Old school.
and they did. Microsoft, I mean, it was a full production. Microsoft had a film crew and all that
remember.
stuff. And they hired 2 off-duty state troopers to come in and arrest us. And these guys did like legit handcuffs, walk us through the casino. And it's funny because the patrons of the casino had no idea what was going on.
Oh, cool.
There's just camera crews and police officers. So what did they think?
Yeah.
yeah. Well,
Well,
the
then
cops,
when they
cops were
see
good.
you-
They offered to put him in a barrel and throw him in Lake Mead.
Well, then when they see you and the cops walking to Krispy Kreme and they undo your, your handcuffs and everybody's having a
Collusion.
good time, now they're really confused.
yeah.
Right. No, so as they're walking us through the casino floor, all we hear is all the patrons go, "Oh my God, is this an episode of Cops? This is an episode of Cops. What'd they do? They stole from the casino?"
That's great.
I'm like, "Oh my God, I don't even know what to say here."
Why didn't you call me? I would have been there in a minute. All right. Well, anyway.
So
That was a good
before
time. That was a
Before
good
we go
time.
to the next show, we did get an email this morning from Arnie Garvinder.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And that made a correction, and I accept the correction. I don't remember saying that PDFs never run code, but their PDFs are weird. They're more secure than Word. I would be more likely to open a PDF, but I'm also cautious about PDFs. So I did not know the exact mechanism for running code in PDF, and I'm sure if he says I said PDFs never run code, I probably did. But we should take his advice and advise people. PDFs aren't 100% secure either.
Yes.
Any attachment can be malicious. So I appreciate the correction.
Yeah, and I think this came up because of last week. So last week we had talked about a PDF, a polyglot, remember?
Yeah.
Where we had a Word document that actually had the headers of a PDF. So it looked like a PDF opened up in Word, but then ran macros. And I'll tell you, Adobe's been, well, they were hammered in the Shockwave days, right?
Yeah.
Where there was all sorts of exploits for Adobe, and Adobe really doubled down on security. So PDFs, the sandbox that's inside Adobe Reader and that stuff is fantastic. You can get it to run code, but it is not easy. I mean, take it from a guy who has attempted to weaponize PDFs.
Right.
Like every day.
It's kind of like Apple versus Android right now. Apple's not
Yep.
flawless and foolproof.
No.
But it's more secure. And so PDF, you still got to be cautious because 0 days exist.
Oh, yeah.
And there
Yep.
is
Yep.
a facility for code there, and measures can always be obviated. So it's I'm glad the correction came. We appreciate the people listen closely and come back to us with that stuff. And I'm the first one to admit when I make mistakes all the time. I don't claim to know everything. But really great opportunity to reinforce that if you have to choose between a Word document and a PDF, PDF's safer. but nothing's 100% safe. If you can, call the person and validate, hey, did you send me this PDF? That's the safest way to go.
Agreed.
Sure.
Agreed.
Yep.
All right. And that brings us to our clickbait story, AI's pivotal role in addressing APAC's cybersecurity talent shortage. Now, this is, you might not understand this headline, but here's the deal. There's a shortage of cybersecurity professionals out there, right? So what do? They turn to your friend and mine, AI. I don't know if it's ChatGPT. You can tell me, but
oh my God!
But can you imagine, right? Oh, we can't find people smart enough to protect us. Well, ChatGPT will.
Yeah,
okay.
And that's. I really was interested in Patrick's take on this because this is Asia Pacific. So in the Asia Pacific region, there are 2.1 million people down gap-wise in cybersecurity.
50% of the openings are unfulfilled.
Yeah, so they say,
wow.
oh my gosh, let's have AI do it. And I see that as just a disaster waiting to happen.
I could see a Roomba filling in as the CISO.
This section of the web is clean.
So the problem is that, the problems are stacked here.
Yes.
So first of all, there is no AI that is replaces a human being as a security engineer. Most people can't replace a security engineer at this role. And the problem with AIs is what I hope they're talking about is they're trying to leverage AI enhanced tools like, endpoint protection services that use AI and SOC systems that use AI instead of having people combing through logs, use AI to find the right things. I hope that's what they mean. But the problem is that the AIs, the LLMs, for example,
the large language models,
they're not really, they're not really suited to this. First of all,
they're not intelligent. They claim to know things that they don't, and sometimes they just make stuff up.
But I don't see how that's like saying, this is like saying, thinking that they can use LLMs for security is kind of like saying, well, I got a paperclip, I'm going to use that as a desk. It doesn't translate.
Right.
So I don't think they're talking about those LLMs. I think they're talking about algorithms to find threats. Yeah. And there's plenty of products out there that advertise that they use AI. Do they use AI?
Well, what is AI,
I'm highly
right?
skeptical.
I mean, is it just advanced
I have
computing?
a succinct definition of AI. AI is when a computer does something you expect a human to.
You mean screw up?
No, yeah, I know. 15 years ago, drag and dictate, taking dictation.
Yeah.
When you spoke, it wrote it down. That was AI. It was considered AI. And everybody was like, oh my God, this is going to take over the world.
It's
and
just software.
Obviously didn't. Right. And ChatGPT, the P part of GPT is pre-trained, right? So you have generative pre-trained transform. So what that means is it has to be trained on the things it's looking for, right? And in ChatGPT's world, that's structuring sentences. If you were to use something like a GPT in threat hunting, malware analysis, that sort of stuff, I think you'd get a little bit of success. But the problem with hacking is it's very innovative. It's more art sometimes than it is science. So you wouldn't. There are sometimes very unique patterns that open up that a GPT may not be able to find. So, I think it's a recipe for disaster if you just rely on it. But finding something to accelerate that part of threat hunting, I agree, is not a terrible idea. But
it's weird to think about why that would be the case. Why would APAC have this problem? Is it because a lot of the talents fled and come to the West, or
I think it's because it pays better to be in the ransomware groups.
That might be true. Wow.
So they're like, well, we can't find anybody in security.
Just have to be a little bit evil. And that's why Dwayne doesn't do ransomware, because he's a good guy.
It is.
Or a lot of it. A lot of bit evil.
But he certainly could.
Yeah, it's funny. I do get asked that a lot. Like, hey, Dwayne, why don't you just go write a virus at And I'm like, listen, it's the same reason I don't go steal your car. I can do it. But it doesn't. It's not the type of person I am.
I would say that if you're looking at tools, security tools to help with your cybersecurity, you heard me.
Carl, this security tool.
If you're looking for tools, there's one in Connecticut. No, you should. You're going to find the AI moniker on so many of them, and it's probably been put there by someone who has no real understanding of what AI is. The what you should do is look for things that can help things that can find and sift through tasks. Einstein said things should be made as simple as possible and no simpler. The same applies to your cybersecurity plans. You should be checking things to make sure. I was talking to some developers today, and we were talking, and you guys are both developers, as am I. And we talked about account lockout. And I said, account lockout's a great way to put a denial of service in. That's easy to do. All I have to do is try to log in as everybody's account 5 times, and they're all locked out. You just do it every hour, every 59 minutes, and now I've brought you to your knees. It would be better to, after 5 failed logins, ask a second question. Yeah. What's your password and what was your start date?
Yeah.
What's your password? What's your start date? And what's the extension of your direct supervisor? And just keep adding those questions till you get to 10. And now the entropy is so high that, and most of the automated attack systems would break anyways. But that does an extra thing. It means that when Carl logs in and he hasn't been trying to guess his password, he'll immediately be able to recognize that someone has and be able to alert the help desk to reset. But he can always log in if he has all that information.
Sure.
And so we have to think more innovatively. We have to think about turning the user's experience and the user's reactions into assets instead of liabilities. So rather than, Carl, I'm locked out every 10 minutes because someone's doing an attack, he can notify them, hey, there's an attack going on. I didn't miss my password.
And then they say, how do I know this is Carl and not an AI?
Very good. Very good. So do you guys know the Turing test, right?
Sure.
I do.
Do you know the original actual specification of the actual gendered Turing test?
No, but I can tell you what I know. Alan Turing, brilliant mathematician.
Brilliant.
Yeah. He basically said any time that a computer program is using a computer programmer is indistinguishable from a human.
Right. But here's how the test was originally cast. And I didn't realize this until recently. The test actually requires 3 participants. 1 male, 1 female, and 1 doesn't matter. The test is that the woman must convince the interrogator that she is in fact a woman, and the male must pretend to be a woman and convince the interrogator that they are in fact the woman.
Wait a minute, where's the computer program in this?
The computer program can replace either the man or the woman
in the
test.
I didn't know that.
So basically, I didn't realize that it was when it was created. There was also gender roles for everything.
Right. And there was also not you talk to your computer and it talks back to you. Right.
Yeah, it wasn't that you can convince me you're a real person. That became the ungendered version. But the first version was, can a man convince you, do a better job convincing you that he's a woman than a woman can, telling truth? The only rules are the woman has to tell the truth, has to answer truthfully, and the man doesn't have to.
Wow, this is a great TV series waiting to happen, don't you think?
I know, right? This sounds almost like grooming on the internet.
I totally binge watched that.
You're telling me a middle-aged man needs to convince people that he's a woman on the internet? Yeah, that's pretty. I've seen that show. It's.
But I thought that was a very interesting. That's the way it was actually originally, and it's much more subtle than the way I had originally heard it, which is the way you described it, Carl. The first way I heard it was has to convince you that it's a person.
Yeah.
No, it has to convince you that it is one of the 2 genders.
That's interesting.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yep. The things you learn.
I probably got in trouble for saying there are only 2 genders.
So I guess that's it. We're not going to be back for 2 weeks because I'm going to be teaching a class at a castle in Tuscany. I know, poor me.
Whoa.
And I probably will be out having some wine at 9:00 at night when we would usually record this. So...
and that's a different show entirely.
Totally,
when Carl has wine entirely.
All right. So in the meantime, have a good one and send us your suggestions and comments. We're all over the place. We're on Twitter. We're on Mastodon. And I'm on Blue Sky. Hey, if you want to find all the places I am, go to carlfranklin.com. It's all there.
That's right. I'm on diuretics.
and Dwayne is on his second shot of whiskey. All right.
Yes, sir.
We'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.